keep an eye out for flying baseball. The rookie is rising before his eyes. It's Aaron Judge, who's been crushing him this season with an exit velocity at an average of 97 miles an hour, and that is tops in all of baseball. He also leads baseball with 30 home runs, but right behind Judge in exit velocity anyway is Miguel Sano at 95.1 miles an hour. Sano also finished second to Judge in the home run derby 1 week ago in Miami at the All-Star festivities. And let's not forget about Kenny Vargas. He can hit it a mile too. His home run yesterday left the bat at 108.5 miles an hour in Houston and an estimated 452 feet. Now the two pitchers trying to keep the baseballs in the yard tonight are Brian Mitchell and Adalberto Mejia. A couple of young starters in this one, a combined total of just 23 major league starts. It's a lot of intrigue at the ballpark tonight as the Twins open up a 6-game homestand. They do so with the first of 3 tonight. Against the Pinstripes, the Yankees are in town. Twins baseball on Fox. Good evening from Target Field. I'm Marnie Gellner. Tonight, the fans came in early to watch some batting practice. Aaron Judge was in the second group for the Yankees, so at about 6 o'clock, he was taking BP, and he was doing so with cheers. I've never heard that from fans here at Target Field during batting practice. This is why a right-handed hitter going 6 rows deep in the upper deck in right field. A laser line drive. I mean, look at the speed on that thing. That was the second deck in left field. And then this ball is going to land in catch, that little area in center field. Judge beat Miguel Sano out in the finals of the home run derby. And earlier tonight, each of those sluggers had high praise for the other.
Well, Sano, man, he's a big boy, but he's also an athlete. You know, he plays a good third base. You know, he's got the power, but he's also a great hitter as well. You know, he's not just a big guy, and I know he's in the home run derby and he's trying to hit home runs, but his swing, man, he's set up to be, he's one of the best hitters in this game. You know, so it was fun to compete against him, fun to finally meet him, and you know, I'm excited to see what he does next couple days.
That guy's a monster. Hit a wire-fire homer to right field, and you know, it's pretty fun to see Josh hit a homer like that. And I told you, we're young guys and a young player, Gary Sanchez, Josh, me, and a couple more. And, you know, it's pretty fun.
Coming up, Adalberto Mejia has found some magic in his last 4 starts. Dick and Bert on how Mejia can put a spell on Aaron Judge tonight. Coming up after this.
Twins baseball on Fox Sports North is presented by Toyota. Tested, trusted, Toyota. Toyota, let's go places. By CenturyLink, connecting you to the power of the digital world. By Sanford Orthopedics and Sports Medicine, for the everyday competitor in all of us. And by Jeep, the official vehicles of summer are ready for what your summer brings. Hurry in to your nearest Jeep dealer for the clearance event of the summer.
The hot and muggy weather followed the Twins up from Houston. The opening game of the homestand and the first of three between the Twins and the New York Yankees. First meeting of the year between these two teams, and it'll be the first time Adalberto Mejia throws a pitch against the Yankees in their lineup. And good day, Monday evening to you from Target Field. Dick Kramer welcoming back Bert Blyleven to Twins TV. And it's the start of an important homestand for the Twins. The Twins are in a cluster of teams that have a chance for postseason play. And the teams that'll survive July, August, and September are the teams that are going to get better. And that's what the Twins have seen, improvement from Adalberto Mejia.
And it's good that Mejia gets starts like this because the Yankees are a very good ball club. For Mejia, he's coming off really 3 good starts in his last 4. He's won 3 of them. So he's pitching the ball good right now. He's working both sides of the plate. It's going to be a tough assignment against this New York Yankees.
And although the man only has a little over 400 at bats, Aaron Judge has already emerged as the guy to pitch around in the Yankee lineup.
Well, you know what, Mejia, he's got a good fastball in the low 90s, so I think he has to establish that fastball early in the count. Show him, because a lot of the Yankee hitters have not seen him before. Slow him down as far as you got to show him you'll pitch hard inside. And then how do you get him out? Maybe a breaking ball down and in, that good slider that Mejia has with maybe a good changeup away. This is also a guy in the lineup. He's swinging the bat so well, you don't want him to beat you.
And do what you can to face him with the bases empty. Mejia out of the bullpen. We're about ready to get this important series started at Target Field.
The Twins take the field. 3 games with the Yankees, 3 games with the Tigers. And the Twins won 1 game down in Houston. Find themselves very much in the middle of things, both in the American League Central race, in the wild card race, and they're taking on a wild card contender in the Yankees. Joe Girardi has seen his team struggle in recent weeks. They are 4 games above the 500 mark. The Twins are just 1 game above the 500 mark. And the Menards batting order for the Yankees: Jacoby Ellsbury, Clint Frazier, Aaron Judge, Matt Holliday, Starlin Castro, Didi Gregorius, Chase Headley, and Garrett Cooper and Austin Romine. Some new players in the lineup, and as far as the Yankees are concerned, a new pitcher on the mound in Adalberto Mejia. First pitch golfed foul down the right field line, 1 strike.
Well, Mejia making his 14th start of the season. We mentioned before, over his last 4 starts, 3-1, 2.59 ERA, and a young man that is just getting his feet wet, really. This is just his 14th major league start, just 24 years old, out of the Dominican Republic.
Missing inside, 1-1. He's picked the Twins up here as of late. It is very true that the Twins are in a cluster of teams that have a chance at postseason play. Just about everybody in the league does at this point. And the ones that will survive are the ones that will collectively and individually have better second halves than first halves. And that's what the Twins have seen from Mejia, starting with his start really against the Indians here. 4 2/3 innings, just a couple of runs, and they've been better since. But now falls behind Ellsbury, 3-1.
Yeah, the only negative on Mejia are the base on balls. 32 walks in 65 innings pitched. So Ellsbury, a guy you want to keep off the bases, but you can't let him get on via the walk. So make him swing the bat right here.
Old foul, and it's 3-2. We've seen Mejia throw 94, and the fastball so far here tonight just 90-91. Northland Ford defense for the Twins. Eddie Rosario at left, Zach Granite, big Yankee fan growing up. He's in center field. Max Kepler at right. Sano, Adrianza, Dozier, Mauer, the infielders. Castro behind the plate.
Again, this is off the fastball. You have to trust that fastball out over the plate. See where Castro sets up.
Breaking ball got him. Wow. And Mejia strikes out Ellsbury on 6 pitches.
Yeah, that ball just kind of spun, almost looked like a changeup right here. So you're sitting fastball, and a little cutter, middle in, gets a strikeout. Yep, little slider, almost like a cut fastball.
Take a look at the umpires for tonight. Ramon DeJesus added to the crew. Paul Emmel stepping aside. Brian Onora has the plate. Scott Berry, Quinn Wolcott on the crew as well. Here's Clint Frazier, acquired by the Yankees from the Indians last year about this time. Called up, has had an impact in the Yankee lineup already. Now down and in, 2-0.
Yeah, Frazier coming over in that Andrew Miller trade back in late July of last year.
Eight pitches, just 3 strikes so far for Mejia. And there's a 93-mile-per-hour fastball and a foul.
Opponents coming hitting off of Mejia, coming hitting 256. It's left-handed hitters that he's had trouble with, hitting 319. Right-handers not bad, 241 batting average against him.
Tapper to third. Sano charges. And fires on the run. 2 down. And here he comes. His first appearance in Minnesota. Aaron Judge. And his 30 home runs have come on pitches generally middle up.
Yeah, and you see the hot zone right there. And Aaron Judd, I think we saw him in the home run hitting contest. He just doesn't try to pull the ball. He sprays the ball all over the place. 13 of his 30 home runs have been straightaway center, and you can see 9 to left and 8 to right.
Struggling since the All-Star break. Big swing and a miss at the off-speed pitch. 1 strike. Struggling, but look at those numbers. And again, he has just over 400 big league at bats, 84 of them last year. And already has had such a tremendous impact, hitting third in the Yankee lineup. When's the last time a rookie stepped in and hit third in the New York Yankee lineup?
Wearing number 99, Yankees' #1 pick out of Fresno State back in 2013. And he really didn't show this type of power in the minor leagues. Unable to hold up on that good pitch away right there by Mejia.
Still very strikeout prone, but believe it or not, he's cut down his strikeout rate. There's that changeup that kind of fades away from a right-handed batter.
Almost like a little screwball right there.
1-2.
Yeah, 115 strikeouts and 315 at-bats.
Last year, Judge had 84 at-bats and literally struck out half the time. 42 strikeouts. And his strikeout rate has dropped this year, but still among the league leaders. 2-2. And Mejia on another off-speed pitch has a clean 1-2-3 inning with a pair of strikeouts.
Very good. Mixed in all his good pitches right there. A couple strikeouts. 1, 2, 3.
Paul Molitor hoping his team can have a good homestand here and build a little cushion over the 500 mark and keep things moving along in terms of being relevant in the playoff race. The Menards batting order has Brian Dozier leading off. Zach Granite hitting second. Joe Mauer, Miguel Sano, Max Kepler, Kenny Vargas, Eddie Rosario, A-Ray Adrianza, and Jason Castro.
On the mound here, it'll be Brian Mitchell just getting called up. Now, Mitchell started the season with the Yankees in their bullpen and then started to struggle a little bit out of that bullpen. They sent him down to AAA, made 9 starts, pitched well down there, and now he gets a call up, making his first start this year. And just his 9th major league start, his 40th career appearance.
Yankees coming off a day-night doubleheader yesterday at Fenway Park, and Twins fans know the drill. Sometimes it's not the doubleheader itself, but the days after that create opportunities for pitchers like Brian Mitchell, and so he's on the mound here at Target Field, making his first start of the year. Dozier takes up high, ball 1.
Yeah, one of his previous starts came against the Twins a couple years ago in New York, and it was a disaster for Mitchell because he got hit in the head in the 2nd inning off the bat of Eduardo Nunez. So just making his 2nd career start against the Twins.
See plenty of velocity, mid to upper 90s with a fastball, a good breaking ball.
And when he's on, you see he'll get a lot of ground ball outs. Good sinking fastball. Good movement on that fastball right there at 96.
And after every pitch, going back for some rosin, it appears, on a hot, muggy night. 2-1 to Brian Dozier. And up, maybe a little cutter.
Yeah, you know, Dick, that rosin bag, and it's a good thing that you brought that up. What that does is, you know, a lot of times when it's hot like this, you create a lot of extra moisture on your hand. And the last thing you want to do is throw a spitter or anything, so you try to dry your hand off a little bit.
On the ground, through the shift on the left side of the infield. Dozier rounds first. He'll hold up with a single. Castro was lined up a step or two on the third base side of second base. And of course, Gregorius swung over as well, and Dozier found a seam for a leadoff single. Northland Ford defense for the New York Yankees. Clint Frazier is in left. Veteran Ellsbury in center. And rookie Judge in right. Chase Headley, Didi Gregorius, Starlin Castro, and another new Yankee, Garrett Cooper at first base. And Austin Romine behind the plate. Well, here is Zach Granite hitting against the team that he grew up following, admiring. Big Yankee fan growing up. And Zach Granite takes a strike. Growing up in Staten Island. I mean, here's how bad it is, or good, depending on your perspective. Granite has a dog. The dog's name is Jeter. Granite's got his some family members here. Low throw and a nice pickup by Cooper. Granite's got some family members here, and he was joking. He says, "Oh, they're here to see the Yankees. They don't care about me."
A quick throw over right there. Brian, who has 10 stolen bases in 15 attempts, gets a right hand back on the bag, and Cooper does make a nice little pick there.
One strike to Granite. Headley well in on the grass at third base. Granite with one hit in 14 at bats, but therein lies also a positive. He's had 14 at bats. He's yet to strike out.
Yeah, a couple walks, no strikeouts.
He's put the ball in play.
Short, compact swing.
Dozier back to the bag again.
Granted, I have watched him on TV when I wasn't doing the game. He doesn't really bring the bat back to his, say, left shoulder. He's pretty much almost in the middle part of, say, the N or the S on his jersey.
Tapper to second, and the Yankees will get one, and that's it. Well, Granite's done a lot of that. He's hit a lot of two hoppers to infielders. He reaches on a fielder's choice, one down.
Well, for Brian Mitchell, this you have to flash back to. In the second inning, Nunez hit a ball right off his forehead. And of course, that took him out of the ball game. He diagnosed with a concussion, missed some time. That being in New York back on August 17th of 2015.
Joe Mauer, the batter, didn't play yesterday in Houston. Back in the lineup today, and back at first base. Off the plate, ball one. Joe on the disabled list before, during, and a little bit after the All-Star break with some lower back issues. Feeling better.
Yeah, Joe's been swinging a good bat over his last 16 ball games, hitting .333, 20 hits in his 60 at bats for Joe.
And I think too, everything we said about Mejia and everybody on the Twins roster, if the Twins are going to get a playoff spot, everybody, including Joe, has to have a better second half. Measuring stick for Joe might be if his batting average starts with a 3. If he becomes a 300 hitter again, this lineup is going to be a lot better. On the outside corner, 2-1.
Yeah, Mitchell just 26 years old. We've seen the sinking fastball. Got a spike curveball, they say might be his best pitch, and then a changeup. And a little cut fastball.
On the outside corner again, 2-2. Yankees, like everybody else, trying to patch together a rotation. Michael Pineda out for the year. He's going to have Tommy John surgery tomorrow. That and some other issues have forced the Yankees to be creative in putting together a rotation.
Well, that's a big loss to them. Pineda was throwing the ball pretty well.
Full count. We'll see what, if anything, the Twins do with Zach Granite. Granite's yet to try a stolen base, but speed is a part of his game. They check him again at first. Twins on the year, 52 steals and 67 tries, a really good strike or stolen base percentage, up around 80%.
say Paul's going to send him right here. Get him moving. Maybe one of the infielders going towards second.
There he goes. And Bauer grounds it just foul wide of third.
He almost slashed that ball down that third baseline.
Granite retreating to first, looking over his right shoulder at Gene Glenn, who will give another sequence of signs. The 3-2 to Mauer. Granite goes again, and the pitch hit hard to center. Ellsbury is back, and he'll make the catch. Staggering a little bit at the end because the ball disappeared into the shadows and then reappeared in the bright sunlight.
I think Joe made such good contact right there. It's almost like a knuckleball. It looked like Ellsbury was going to go back and then kind of came back a little bit toward the infield. And of course, you know, this time of night, the outfielders with the shades on. Picked it up, really kind of fought that ball. You can see it hit the heel of his glove and stayed in the glove.
So 2 down, and Granite at first. Here's Miguel Sano. Big swing and a miss at 97. mile-per-hour fastball. And like Judge, a lot of Sano's damage done on pitches right down the middle.
Yeah, you know what? You'll make a mistake right there. We showed you Aaron Judge, hot zone, and Sano. Well, throw it down the heart of the plate.
Foul back, and it's 0-2. All right, now we have an interesting situation here because that ball fouled into the press box, and I'm not sure which of the official scorers dropped it.
Give them an error.
I think you have to give them an error.
Yeah, should have.
I don't know if it was Stu Thornley. 2 strikes to Miguel Sano. Off the plate, and a bluff to keep Granite honest at first. Trying to make Mitchell work, trying to draw first blood here in the first inning. A high fly to left center. And Frazier comes in to make the catch. The Twins get ahead and leave a runner, no score after 1. The home run derby finalist, another contestant, Giancarlo Stanton, tonight off the bat, 115 miles per hour, 441 feet, and maybe some broken glass.
we're going to have Justin Morneau here tomorrow. Remember that one he hit in Milwaukee?
Yeah.
That he hit off the scoreboard.
3/4 of the way up in the scoreboard.
Yep.
When we were in Kansas City last, every time I go to Kauffman Stadium, although it's been renovated since, I remember the one he hit out into the parking lot over the stadium in right field. Here's Matt Holliday, then Starlin Castro and Didi Gregorius facing Mejia, who delivers strike one. Holliday, of course, a designated hitter, and he's put up some respectable DH numbers with 16 home runs, 48 runs batted in. Tapper foul.
Yeah, Holliday in his first season with the Yankees just came off the disabled list. Viral infection that put him on the 10-day disabled list. All those good years that he had with the Cardinals.
A good year with Oakland, and before that, of course, the Rockies.
Right.
0-2. Missed up and in. Mejia in his last start had a little bit of a misstep, but it wasn't that bad. 6 2/3 innings, 5 hits, 4 earned runs. Took a loss against the Orioles, but it was a competitive start. And there's another strikeout, 3 already for Mejia. Before Starlin Castro's at bat, let's hear from Marnie Gellner.
And guys, we will take a look at our car scoop from the clubhouse. A-Ray Adrianza is the Twins shortstop for the second consecutive game. More so to give Jorge Polanco another day off. Molitor said that he wants Polanco to slow down, evaluate his at-bats, and remember, he is a good offensive player. Really just regroup here over the last couple of days. Hector Santiago played catch today. He'll throw a bullpen tomorrow and Friday, and then the Twins will make their plan to proceed with Santiago. And Adalberto Mejia's had a really good, solid 4 consecutive starts. And Molitor said one of the reasons is that Mejia has learned to trust his catcher, that he'd been having a tendency to shake off a lot and not really trust the plan that the Twins had put together before the game, but that he's starting to gain confidence. He's starting to trust the catcher and trust the plan going into the game, guys.
Yeah, thank you, Martin. That's a good point right there, because you do sit down as a starter before the ball game with your catcher and your pitching coach, and you go over every hitter. But then there's a lot of things that sometimes may come into play. The scoreboard sometimes dictates you. If you get a 5-0 lead early, you might pitch a little differently. But yeah, you have to have that relationship between pitcher and catcher, and you have to stay with that game plan until maybe it just doesn't work, or you see something that you know, Castro may see. For myself, Dick, it was always important for me, say Tim Lautner, who's with us doing a pre and post, I always made sure I talked to him between innings too. The communication has to be there between the starter and the catcher, not only prior to the game but also during the ball game.
1-2 to Castro. Glove by Adrianza for out number 2. A soft line drive, and Adrianza scampered to his left for out number 2.
Yeah, like Holliday, Castro just getting off the disabled list. Looks like he got jammed a little bit right here, or maybe off the end of the bat. Adrianza does a good job of making that running catch for the second out.
And now Didi Gregorius. You look back to Mejia's year, and he got a sip of coffee, not even a cup of coffee last year. He got a sip. And then he came out of spring training in the rotation, and well, almost predictably, he didn't go too real well in April. And then they sent him down. Since they brought him back, going back to May 21st, all the starts have really been competitive starts, except for the one here against Seattle. It was the second time that he had faced the Mariners in as many starts, and they beat him up a little bit. But all the other starts, he's given the Twins a chance to win a ball game.
Well, here's a guy that spent a lot of time in the minor league system of the Giants and also the Twins, but you know, getting an opportunity and staying with that good fastball. You see the fastball, you don't have to throw 98, 99, but you can throw a 93-mile-an-hour fastball, mix in that good slider, which helped him pick up 3 strikeouts already. Mix in the changeup.
And now 1-1 to Gregorius. Slow breaking ball inside, didn't break much at all. 2-1. foul back.
You know, when the Twins traded their all-star last year, Nunez, over to the Giants, they were hoping to get something in return. And what they got was a left-handed pitcher, 23 years old last year. Good minor league numbers. 43 wins, only 29 losses, an ERA at 3.29 in the minor leagues, almost 600 innings. They're hoping that he can continue his development now at the major league level.
Hook foul into the right field corner. He's a big man, and there are some who think that helps a pitcher's endurance. You know, just being more
body fat.
Well, I was going to say more substantial. I was going to put it in a more polite term, but
well, you know what? There are a lot of things that we had that in Cleveland. We jumped in the tank, and you know they told you how much body fat you had, and
right.
You know we found out that Andre Thornton and myself had the most body fat.
And he hit fourth, and you pitched 280 innings.
Yeah. So the next year they didn't do that.
Couple of clean innings for Mejia and 4 early strikeouts. A lot of injuries, as every team has, of course. Michael Pineda, we discussed. Dustin Fowler in his major league debut ran into the sidewall and blew his knee out. And Aaron Hicks had it all coming together for him. It took about 1,200 at bats for Aaron, and he really was playing well for the Yankees. Then he suffered a right oblique strain. Max Kepler will lead off the second for the Twins against Brian Mitchell. Strike one. Kepler hitting .390 in the month of July. He'll be followed by Kenny Vargas and Eddie Rosario. Down and in, 1-1. And back to the rosin for Mitchell. Chopper over the mound, but Gregorius is right there near the second base bag. 1 away. One down on the second. Let's get tonight's big story from Marnie Gelder.
Yes, our big story takes us to Chicago, where Jose Quintana was traded from the White Sox to the Cubs last Thursday and made his Southside debut yesterday. That was against Baltimore. Quintana threw 7 shutout innings, gave up only 3 hits, struck out 12, which is 1 shy of a career high. Didn't walk anyone either. White Sox beat the Cubs beat the Orioles 8-0, and the Cubs so far are liking the trade.
Quintana saying, hey, 8 runs. That's like
4 games worth.
Yeah.
Vargas fouls the first one away. I was surprised by the trade only because Chicago's a competitive baseball market. And the White Sox are, rebuilding. They'll admit that themselves. So you'd expect them to trade a veteran like Quintana for some prospects. but they're further strengthening their main competitor in the marketplace, which doesn't often happen.
No, but I think, Dick, swing and miss right there, foul ball by Vargas. I think, when you're where they're at right now, the Chicago White Sox, they have to regroup. They have to go young. So you have to give some of that talent away. But I understand the 4 players they got in return are potentially good stars, but you'll have to wait for time.
2-2 now to Vargas. Had a long home run yesterday in Houston. And now 3-2, Rosario on deck.
Vargas is a switch hitter, hitting .273 from this side of the plate. 7 of his 8 home runs have come as a left-handed hitter.
The numbers coming up a little bit from the other side, even though he's had to face the likes of Chris Sale and David Price. Tap foul, staying alive. A no-doubter yesterday in Houston.
Gonna give him up like that.
Halfway up into the second deck. Another 3-2 to Vargas. Driven foul, twisting into the seats. Twins are going to have to make a roster move to accommodate Bartolo Colon, who will start tomorrow's game. Twins can go a number of different ways. They at times have used Vargas's option to send him back to the minor leagues. We'll have to wait and see what they decide to do after the game today. And Vargas takes a walk with 1 down. The problem with sending Vargas down, he is the most viable candidate to take over at first base for Joe Mauer, and Joe's just coming off the disabled list with some back issues, so we'll see which way they decide to go after the game.
Yeah, do you think of Zach Granick maybe going down, but
Byron Buxton's on the deal. Here's Rosario. Twins called up Granite with the idea that he was going to play, and it might have looked for a while as if Rosario's playing time would be crimped a little bit, but then almost as soon as Granite got here, Buxton went on the disabled list. So Rosario in left, Granite in center. We talked about Mauer's potential to hit 300 this year. This guy's actually closer to 300 than Joe is at the start of the game tonight. 286. 3 home run game, a 5-hit game. Inside ball 1.
And a lot of those numbers coming here at home where he's hit very well. Rosario here at home hitting .320 in 45 home games. 9 of his 10 home runs coming here at Target Field.
Romine to the mound to talk to Mitchell. Twins have 1 hit. Mitchell's given them 1 walk now here in the second inning.
I think we've seen, Dick, too, Rosario, he'll go through stretches where he doesn't look real good at the plate, but then he'll go through stretches that he'll swing at pitches, high level and smack it into the outfield. Pretty much of a free swinger.
I think a lot of people tend to, because of that, think of him as a high strikeout guy, and he struck out 60 times, but in 283 at bats, that's kind of the norm in baseball these days. That's hardly identifiable as being a high strikeout guy. That's 1 every 5 times roughly. And a strike 2, 1 and 2.
Good slow breaking ball right there. That might be that spike curveball that Mitchell has. Use that curveball almost like a changeup. You see the downward break.
Fox Tracks presented by Jeep. 1 and 2. Driven hard to the gap in right center. Ellsbury won't get there. Vargas around second to third. He's being waved around. Rosario will try for third, and now he'll try to get back to second, and he's safe. Eddie Rosario with an RBI double, and the Twins take the first lead.
Mitchell tried to go back-to-back with that spike curveball, but yeah, he swung and missed at the first one. He did not swing and miss at this one. So Rosario picking up his 15th double, driving in his 29th run of the year. See, back-to-back, almost the same pitch that he swung through This time Rosario went down and hit it sharply. And Ellsbury, good center fielder, good speed, can't catch up to it. And Vargas had a good read, and he scores from first base.
Well, Vargas made it from first on a double. Red light didn't come on. And it's 1-0. Here's Adrianza. Adrianza's been a pleasant surprise at the plate. He's played well in the field, just a couple of errors in 29 games. But at the plate, from both sides of the plate, he's been a productive hitter. Hit a home run yesterday. The Twins don't expect that. But he is hitting .290 on the year. When the Twins got him, a lot of people imagined him being a reincarnation of Pedro Florimon, a guy who was pretty slick with the glove but wasn't going to hit much. But he's done very well. Of course, he spent some time on the disabled list as well. Chop foul, 1 strike.
Let's take a look at that pitch that Mitchell tried to double up on, that spike curveball, and this one, see, Rosario went down. Left-handers like it down there. We got Justin Morneau in there. He's kind of drooling at his mouth right here where he sees that pitch. He said, "Boy, I wish they threw me more of those in my career."
1 strike.
I think they threw you enough.
Dribbled to the left side. Gregorius has it. And on to third goes Rosario. Morneau drooling at the mouth because he just had his first meal in the press box dining room. That's the reason for that. 2 down. And now Jason Castro.
Castro will join us tomorrow night.
Yep. He's going to be doing some pre and post work tomorrow, and we'll have him up in the booth tomorrow. Here's Jason Castro. Twins in need of a 2-out hit. Castro's average back down to .217, and the strikeouts are mounting. 68 of them in 217 at bats, or roughly 1 every 3 at bats. On the outside corner. Twins taking advantage of the walk to Vargas, hoping to get a 2-out hit and double the lead. Outside 1-1. Hits have been hard to come by, and so have the home runs. Castro has 6 of them. His last home run coming at Safeco Field on June 8th. And over the Yankee dugout, out of play, 1-2. The Yankees had a split doubleheader yesterday. Saturday, a 16-inning game, finally beating the Red Sox. Then 2 games yesterday. Landed here in the middle of the night, where they have played very well. The Yankees have won 21 of the 27 games here at Target Field, counting the postseason games they played. Castro swings and misses, and a strikeout ends the inning. But the Twins get an RBI double from Rosario, and it's 1-0. Sports North is presented by Northland Ford. Visit buyfordnow.com and your local Northland Ford dealer today. By Grand Casino, the best stories start here. And by Menards. Save big money at Menards on all your home improvement needs. Rosario with an RBI double. And on the heel pitch with a 1.
Out of 4 out of the 6 he's faced so far.
Bottom third of the Yankee lineup starting with Chase Headley. First pitch driven to the right field corner and twisting foul. Getting better and stronger. And let's talk a little bit about that stronger, because what we've seen in his last couple starts in July back on the 3rd against the Angels, here he did go 7 innings, and against the Orioles in his next start 6 2/3 innings. And those extra outs after the 6th inning are so important to a pitching staff. This one popped up. Mauer tracking it, a long run and an adjustment.
Nice
if he does not win the Gold Glove this year, it will be a shame. He has been flawless at first base. That's not an easy catch to make.
No, not an error yet made by Joe Mauer at first base, and that ball, he was kind of shading him a little bit towards second base. You see where Joe's playing, and a changeup right there that Headley hit straight up, and Joe, good concentration. Big first baseman's glove, ball falling into it. Nice catch.
One down, and now Garrett Cooper, recently acquired by the Brewers. He was kind of blocked there with the Brewers getting a great year out of Eric Thames playing some first base there. Cooper is the 8th Yankee first baseman this year. The 8th.
Yeah, Cooper is having a great year down in Colorado Springs, AAA affiliate for the Brewers.
2-0 to Cooper. Sharply hit. Nice knockdown by Adrianza, but there's no play to be made, and it's the first Yankee hit.
Cooper picking up his 2nd major league hit in now 11 at-bats.
And now tonight's State Farm combination, and here's why the Yankees have had 8 different first basemen. No one's been able to be very productive. 29th and 30th. And of course the Yankees in their history have had great offensive first basemen.
I think they're looking for that Greg Bird to step up, but he's on a disabled list, 60-day DL.
He's going to be undergoing surgery tomorrow. He's had some ankle issues that just haven't gotten any better, and he's going to have surgery. And the earliest he can resume any kind of baseball activity is going to be September. So he would at best seem to be a long shot, I would think, to be able to help them anymore this year. 1-0 to Austin Romine. Might be 2. It's 1. It's 2.
Very nice.
Mejia cleans up the 1-out single, gets a double play turn behind him for the 5th time this year. You're watching Twins Baseball presented by State Farm. Baseball on Fox Sports North is presented by Chevrolet, the #1 selling brand in the Twin Cities, and by Budweiser. This Bud's for you. Hot muggy night here, and a good night for Adalberto Mejia. His first outing against the Yankees in 3 nearly perfect innings.
Hey, he's from the Dominican Republic. They're used to this heat. Actually, they favor this type of weather.
Yeah. Hear that from the likes of Miguel Sano. They don't enjoy playing baseball as much in April and May as they do in the summer months. And so too, I'm sure, for Brian Dozier from Mississippi. He'll lead off the third. He singled in the first inning and then was taken out on a force play. Strike on the outside corner. Twins had a winning homestand right before the All-Star break. They'd like to have another one here and make that be the norm. When you have a winning homestand and it stands out, that's not a good sign. And it was a modest winning homestand. It wasn't, that big of a deal. The Twins went, what, 5-4, I guess, in the homestand.
Twins are 20-28 here at Target Field, 26-17 on the road. And the Yankees are almost opposite. They played well at Yankee Stadium, 26-17 on the road. They're 21-26.
Twins are 4-3 in the homestand right before the All-Star break. Dozier grounds it to the right side and through for a base hit. 2 ground ball singles for Dozier. He's aboard to start the third inning.
I think that's one thing, Dick, I have watched and about Brian Dozier. Yes, he can hit the home run over the left field fence, but I think that average hopefully will get 270, 280 because of this. Not trying to do too much. High breaking ball. Doesn't try to pull it. And with Cooper playing off the line, but he dove for it, but got by him. Dozier picks up his second hit.
And it won't take too many more of those, and the shift will correct itself, and they'll play more conventionally to Brian. Here's Granite. Actually faced Mitchell in the minor leagues in AAA this year, so he's got more history against him than anybody else in the Twins lineup.
Again, Chase Headley at third base, in on the grass. Take the bunt away from Granite.
Foul back, and it's 0-2. Granite made a pinch hitting appearance yesterday and hit the ball hard, lining out to center field. He hasn't hit the ball particularly hard, but has put the ball in play. A lot of ground balls. See what he can do here, trying to hit out of an 0-2 hole. Up and in.
47 pitches for Mitchell, 1 walk in the ball game, and that was Vargas with 1 out last inning, and then the double followed and scored the run. There's 1 strikeout.
Toward the hole and through for a hit. And Dozier slams on the brakes at second. Another ground ball, but this one found a seam. First and second, and nobody out for Mauer. 15's 5K coming up Sunday, August 6th. The 5K run will start near Mariucci Arena and finish inside Target Field. Register by July 23rd. Receive a game ticket to the August 6th game as the Twins take on the Rangers. All registrants receive a 15's 5K t-shirt, a finisher's medal, finish line food and beverage, and more. For more information and to register, visit twinsbaseball.com/15's 5K.
We talked about Granite last time he was up. First time, Dick, no strikeouts. So right there you can see he got 2 strikes against him and put the ball in play. The ball had eyes right there between Headley and Gregorius in the left field.
Up and away to Mauer, lined out to Ellsbury in center field his first time up.
And I'm sure he did the same thing in AAA where he hit 360. Just make good contact.
You can't possibly hit 470 over a month as he did in June and strike out a lot. 1-0 to Mauer. Two and 0. 4 hits for the Twins in the all-important second time through the batting order. What will Mitchell do? How will he do after the Twins have seen him once? Wide, 3-0. Sano on deck. On the outside corner.
I mentioned before, Mitchell started in the bullpen for the Yankees and then kind of had some tough outings. They sent him downward. Always in the minor leagues, he was a starting pitcher. He went down to AAA, made 9 starts, worked only a total of 35 innings. So, guy that isn't really stretched out, I would have to say. He's working a tightrope right here.
And he walks Mauer, and with nobody out, Sano will come up with the bases loaded.
And Sano in his first at bat, I thought he missed a high breaking ball right there that he hit that fly ball to Frazier in left field.
Larry Rothschild coming to the mound, saying something to the effect of, "Good luck, fella."
Rothschild, a veteran pitching coach. You can see how he tried to get Joe out. Everything outer half of the plate, and ball 4 at 93.
Twins do not have a grand slam yet this year. Sano's come close a couple of times. They have given up 3 grand slams, so they are due. To right center field. Caught by Judge. He's got a good arm. Look at this throw, and Dozier is out at the plate on a perfect throw from Aaron Judge.
Wow, what a throw right there. You know, as a youngster growing up in LA, I got to watch Frank Howard play a little bit, and I'm almost the same size as Judge. He comes up, sets up, and throws a rocket.
See if the Twins challenge this.
The Romine.
I think they're going to challenge it because I think they got. Romine. It looked like Dozier got the back of the plate. Did Romine even tag him?
You got him on the shoulder, the left shoulder right there.
Now the Twins won't challenge it. It's a double play on a perfect throw from Aaron Judge.
Right there. Boy, what a great throw.
Well, then the next question is, was there a sliding lane given Brian Dozier? Well, the Twins aren't challenging it, and it's a potentially huge play in this game. Romine fielded a one-hop throw up high and got a swipe tag down on Dozier. Now a tapper to the right side. And somehow the ball gets away from Mitchell. And a run will score. I couldn't get the sentence out of my mouth. Castro's throw was right there, and the pitcher didn't catch it.
Well, you want to keep the pitcher out as much as possible. And Mitchell went over there, got there exactly what you do in spring training. Little PFP, pitcher's fielding practice, a good throw, and hit the top of his glove, deflected away into foul territory. The Twins get a break. An error will be charged to Mitchell. no RBI for Kepler. But the Twins take a 2-0 lead.
And now Vargas. And Mitchell's got to compose himself here. He delivers, strike one. Two to nothing Twins, but 2 runs out there to double the lead if Vargas can get a hit to the outfield. The Yankees got a big break with Aaron Judge's one-hop throw to the plate and the call made at the plate. And now the Twins get a quick break in return. Strike 2. Vargas drew a walk, scored a run his first time up.
Pitch down and away.
High 1-2. Talked about Mitchell not being stretched out. Caleb Smith is getting loose here in the 3rd inning.
Caleb Smith, new to the Yankees. It'll be his major league debut if he comes in.
1-2 to Vargas. Up and away, 2-2. Twins need a pick-me-up here. Bases loaded, nobody out. Sano at the plate, and they didn't score, and there were 2 outs. Now gifted a run to make it 2-0. And a called 3rd strike. Runners left at 2nd and 3rd. The Twins, after 3, lead 2-0. Moment presented by Coors Banquet on this date in 1990. The Twins turned 2 triple plays at historic Fenway Park. They each went 5-4-3. First one hit into by former Twin Tom Bernansky. Both were accomplished. Started with a ground ball to Gary Gaetti. And of course Mejia was on the mound in Anaheim when the Twins did the same thing.
Yeah, Sano stepping on the bag over to Dozier. Over to Mauer for the triple play. That's the way to get out of an inning.
Begs the question, if a double play is a pitcher's best friend, what's a triple play?
Godsend.
Jacoby Ellsbury will lead off the 4th. Mejia now staked to a 2-0 lead.
Well, Mejia only 36 pitches in the first 3 innings, 4 strikeouts, got a big double play, his 5th double play turn behind him to end the 3rd inning.
Ellsbury ended up being called out on strikes, with Mejia bending over a quick little breaking ball over the inside corner. Threatening to bunt, taking ball 1. You don't see teams even threaten to do that much because I think Sano's reputation precedes him. This is the first game this year between these two teams. We've seen Sano not so much bunts because teams don't do it very often, but swinging bunts, choppers, make that play so well. And then Ellsbury looked like he tried to chop it down the third baseline.
Well, Yankees do have a couple guys. Brett Gardner not in the ball game here tonight, but he's a guy that likes to bunt. Ellsbury, very good bunter. So yeah, you do take the bunt away. Now Sano backing up a little bit. There's Brett Gardner.
Ellsbury, Frazier, and Judge here in the 4th. Got him. Excuse me, strike 2. Why am I so anxious to call strike 3?
I like it.
They want to quicken the game. They could do that. Just give hitters 2 strikes instead of 3.
I like that even better. That third strike sometimes is tough to get over the plate.
Yeah, you got to change the song and all that stuff. 1-2.
Well, Ellsbury, one of the veterans in his 4th season with the Yankees, of course, prior to that with the Boston Red Sox.
One and 2. The leadoff man here in the Yankee 4th.
Oh, got him.
And Ellsbury will go to first, just the second Yankee base runner.
The ball looked like it almost slipped out of his hand. 4th hit batsman for Mejia. 2-seam running fastball getting the hip of Ellsbury.
We'll bring up Clint Frazier. Frazier hit a ground ball to Sano his first time up. He got a double play grounder to end the 3rd inning. Side ball 1. Foul down the right field line. Just need to keep an eye on Ellsbury in this series. 11 steals, 13 tries. Gardner the other base stealer, 12 out of 14. Other than that, not a great base stealing team.
Yeah, they're almost like the Twins. 56 stolen bases. They've been caught 16 times. So pretty good percentage.
1-1. 2 left, and it'll carry to Rosario. A fly ball out number 1. Before Aaron Judge's second at bat, let's go to Marty Gellner.
You know, Aaron Judge has already accomplished a lot, and this is just his rookie season, but he could join an elite group of players. There have only been 3 American League hitters in the last 30 years to finish in the top 3 in batting average, home runs, and RBI. It's Miguel Cabrera, Albert Bell, and Frank Thomas. Judge came into this game 5th in the AL in batting average, but 1st in homers and 2nd in RBI. And, you know, he struggled over the weekend in that 4-game series against the Red Sox, but Joe Girardi before the game said he did not see any signs of stress or pressure in Judge, and that he's still just playing this game with a big smile. And guys, Girardi is not too worried about Aaron Judge and his recent struggles.
And with all that said, as impactful as he's been in Major League Baseball, he's just north of 400 big league at bats, so he's still learning. 1-0 to Judge with 1 out. And he's swinging and missing a lot on the breaking ball.
Well, a lot of people say, you know, guys that participate in the home run derby, sometimes, you know, it takes a while to kind of come back down to earth a little bit.
1-1.
I think we saw in that home run derby, when he does make contact, that ball jumps off his bat.
Another slower breaking ball and another swing and a miss.
That looks like the changeup right there. Aaron Judge at 6'7", about 280 pounds. Good off-speed pitcher. Judge way out front.
Mejia with 4 strikeouts. They came in the first 2 innings.
He struck out Judge in his first at bat on a good slider down and in. Castro moving inside.
Snapped his bat. They'll get 1, and that's it. 2 away. Judge now at first.
Good pitch right there. That's that fastball I was talking about in the pregame. About pitching them hard in.
Here's the reigning home run derby champions and what they did in the second half. And you know, I don't know how to read that, because I think generally most players who don't have an all-star break are going to have poorer second halves because they didn't have the break. We know, I mean, just look how big he is standing next to Joe Mauer. I mean, Joe's a pretty big man, and Judge doesn't dwarf him, but he makes him look smaller. 2 down, and now Matt Holliday. Judge has stolen 6 bases this year. Strike 1 on the outside corner.
9 attempts, so you have to keep an eye on him. But Mejia pretty good at holding on runners.
The Steelers are 3 for 5 with Mejia on the mound. That is poked into left center field, a base hit. Judge will round second. Try for third. Rosario's throw, and it was on the outfield side of third base. And Sano, I think, more cognizant of Holliday and where he was than where the runner was, but he didn't even try to tag it. First and third, 2 down.
I think Rosario had a little trouble getting this ball in. Not a bad pitch right there. Credit Holliday going down and hitting that pitch about ankle high into left center field. Rosario, of course, the angle he has to try to turn around and make a good throw is just offline a little bit. Sano making sure he catches it first and then seeing if Holliday maybe trying to go to second. So runners at the corners, but there's 2 outs.
And now Mejia tested for the first time with a runner in scoring position, but 2 down. And Castro the batter. Off the plate, ball 1. Castro had a hamstring issue, just coming off the disabled list a couple days ago. Hamstring still not 100%.
Yeah, he was voted in as at the second base All-Star. Did not participate. That's his 4th All-Star appearance. The other 3 coming as a Cub, and the other 3 coming as a shortstop. This is the first time he went in as an All-Star as a second baseman.
He gets a 93-mile-per-hour heater past him for a swing and a miss. Just inside, 2-1. Pitch count and strike percentage both good for Mejia. He's trying to wrap up business here in the 4th. 53 pitches, 33 strikes. Strike percentage of 62. Two and 1 to Starlin Castro. Blocked by Castro. Jason Castro. And it's 3 and 1. Gregorius on deck. He hasn't walked anybody, but he started this inning by hitting Ellsbury. Line to right. Kepler with a diving catch in right field.
They had a great jump right there.
A bullet to right, but Kepler picked it off, and it's still 2-0 Twins. Got caught up.
Yeah, Twins took a 1-0 lead thanks to Eddie Rosario's RBI double that scored Vargas from first base. That in the second inning, and then an unearned run as Mitchell went over there to cover first base. The ball fell out of his glove, and that scored Granite. And Mejia has done very good. 4 innings, allowed only 2 hits. Great defensive play by Max Kepler right there to end the top of the 4th inning.
You have to commit to that right away, don't you, if you're going to make that catch. Strike 1 to Rosario. He doubled to right center field, scoring Vargas from first base. So a couple of really nice defensive plays by the 2 right fielders. Judge with his throw to the plate to cut down Dozier, and Kepler with a diving catch to save at least 1 run in the 4th. 1-1. Taken low, 2-1. Two and 2. 3 games here with the Yankees, and the Tigers come in for 3. They've jumped all over. Jason Vargas knocked him out for the 2nd time early. Second short start again for Jason Vargas. Tigers are up 6-0 in the 3rd inning. 2-2 to Rosario. Tapped right side. Could be interesting. And a tougher play this time. Mitchell finds the bag and hangs on to the flip. 1 down. Join Fox Sports North and the Minnesota Lynx at Mall of America for the Let's Celebrate the Lynx event from 6 to 8 p.m. Friday, June 28th. Enjoy interactive games. Register to win Twins tickets and more. Or Lynx tickets. Sorry, force of habit. Visit foxsportsnorth.com and click on upcoming events for details. 1 down, and now A-Ray Adrianza. Down and in, ball one. Adrianza getting the start again in place of Jorge Polanco, as you heard Barney say. Paul Molitor thought it best to give Polanco another day off to just kind of reboot and maybe be back in the lineup as soon as tomorrow night.
And one thing we have seen Paul do that a couple times with Polanco.
He's done it with Buxton. 1-1. 1-2. And I think that's one of the advantages you have when you have a former player as a manager, or as a coach for that matter, just sensing in how a player carries himself, body language, whether you see him smiling or, you know, struggling, and maybe it's time to give somebody a breather. Up high, 2-2. It's different for pitchers, of course, because, you know, starting pitchers every 5 days. Starting pitchers are so moody anyway, you can't count on them for much of anything, right?
Very moody.
2-2.
What do you mean by that?
But I mean, on an everyday player, players who are expected to, you know, go through the grind of 162 game season and play 6-7 days a week. I think a former player can sense that better than anybody else.
Yeah, you know, Paul's very good at that, of knowing his talent and what they can do, what they can't do, and if they need a day off.
Now Mitchell knocks it down, and he'll have no play. Gregorius, the shortstop, was lined up to make an easy play right behind him.
Well, a little gift infield base hit right there.
Well,
as a pitcher, you know, that's your first reaction, try to knock it down. You know, watch Mitchell right here, sticks that hand out, and then of course has no play.
They'll look and see where it hit him. If it hit him on the front of the hand, he should be fine. Doesn't even need any warm-up tosses. He'll stay in. MLB.TV Premium is back better than ever. You can watch every out-of-market regular season game live on over 400 supported devices. Plus, get a free subscription to At Bat Premium, the #1 app for live baseball. Blackout and other restrictions apply. Visit MLB.TV for details. And Mitchell is getting an extra toss or two to make sure that he can feel the baseball in his fingertips. So Adrianza will get an infield hit, and now Jason Castro will bat.
And keep an eye on Adrianza over at first base. 6 stolen bases in 7 attempts. He likes to run.
And by now the Twins have had their series of stopwatches on Mitchell enough to know how quick he is to the plate. Twins playing with the lead. It's a little easier to put a play on when you're leading than when you're trailing by a couple of runs. Adrianza seemed to be shuffling towards second a little bit there, but he got back. Team the Twins are chasing, the Cleveland Indians, are in San Francisco tonight. Josh Tomlin will go against Mike Moore in the opener in San Francisco.
Giants really struggling this year.
Castro takes a strike. Castro struck out to end the second inning.
The Giants find themselves in the National League West, 29 games coming into today's play behind the Dodgers, who are red hot.
Castro to left, and going back is Frazier, losing the ball, and now playing the carom. Ray Adrianza going to third on a double by Castro, and it looked like Frazier was in position maybe to make the catch, having never played here before. He pulled up and played the carom instead.
Well, one thing he did, he turned to take a look at how quick he could get to that area that he thought the ball was going to go, but the ball looked like it just kept going a little further than he anticipated. Watch him turn right here, goes back, and realizes he can't get that ball. So Now he stops. He has to play the carom. And it'll be a double for Castro. His 14th double of the year puts runners at second and third with one out.
Infield in now for Brian Dozier, who has 2 ground ball singles. Strike 1. Pulled a single through the left side of the infield his first time up, pushed it through the right side the second time up. 1-1.
He stayed off that breaking ball right there.
And at least now in the 4th inning with the infield in, they're playing it more conventionally in the infield.
Brian second on the club in runs batted in with 46.
Liner right to the second baseman, and Castro got in a handle of the ball that may have had a play on Adrianza. 1 down, 2 down rather.
Well, Brian hit that ball sharply, but right to Castro at second base.
Castro looked toward third base. They may have had a play on Adrianza, but he juggled the ball a little bit. See how far Adrianza was off the base, but then a little juggle there. So Granite will have a chance to drive in his first big league runs. 2 ground balls, 1 found the outfield grass for a hit in the 3rd.
The outfield for the Yankees playing very shallow.
Strike 1. Two hits, 16 at bats, a double and a single, and 16 balls put in play in 16 at bats. Checked his swing, 1-1. Last year, minor league player of the year for the Twins at Double-A, and in that season, he walked 42 times and struck out 43 times. 526 at bats on the season. Sharply hit. Gregorius has it, and a good play by the shortstop, denying the Twins any runs and denying Granite his first runs batted in. Twins leave 2. It's 2-0 Minnesota.
Purdue fans of the game enjoying a steamy night and a 2-0 Twins lead here at Target Field. To sit that close together, you got to be.
I was going to say that little kid in the Nike shirt looks very uncomfortable.
You got to be family members if you're going to sit that close together, right? 2-0 Twins. It's a steamy night here. Twins have played a good ball game. They've got a 2-0 lead. Didi Gregorius will lead off the fifth against Adalberto Mejia.
You know, we just saw Gregorius make a great play right there off the bat of Granite, and that's what this guy's all about right here. A fellow Dutchman, actually, born in Holland. And when he was 4 years old, his family moved to Curaçao, where he grew up. As part of our Dutch team, he ended up hurting his shoulder. That put him on a disabled list at the beginning of the year on a play in the WBC. But great hands. Very, very good defensive player and doing well offensively.
I don't know if you know the answer to this. I'll ask it of you because you stand a better chance of answering it correctly than anybody I know. You're born in the Netherlands. You want to go to Curaçao. You need a passport or anything, or how do you?
Well, it's part of the Dutch Indies, so I would have to say, yeah. I mean, you're going to have to need a passport. So yes, I would say yes.
Okay. And Mejia late getting to the bag, safe at first. It's been a problem. Now Mejia says that he got to the bag with the slide first, and thankfully he and Gregorius are each okay. The original call is safe by first base umpire Scott Berry.
You know, it just takes a split second to hang around that mound too long. Watch Mejia as the momentum goes toward that third base. Now, it looked like he did a pretty good job of getting over there and then sliding in, getting the ball quickly from Joe Mauer.
He's out.
Sliding, getting that right foot on the bag. Now, Gregorius now diving in head first.
Yeah, he's out.
Yeah, he's out.
And the Twins are challenging it. We think this call will be overturned. But what a dangerous play for the pitcher.
Yeah. And also, I mean, the base runner, too.
Well, who cares about it?
You know, when you slide head first like that, we've seen it so many times. They're not going to put their hand straight into the bag. They're going to go almost palm up. And that probably created that out right there. It should be an out because the palm of his hand, you can see, watch, if he goes straight in, but watch the hand go up, protect the fingers. That's why I think a lot of times, you know, they'll suggest you do not slide head first into first base because of that.
If I'm running to first base and I'm converging with a guy weighing 270, I'm going to slide.
And the call is out.
So good play, and let's cut Mejia some slack. It's not like he deliberated there once he saw the ball.
Right.
It's just hard for him, with his momentum carrying him toward the third base dugout, to suddenly reverse field.
Yeah, he did not hesitate. I mean, his momentum carried him a little bit toward the third base line, and then he took off. So, yeah, nice play.
So one down, and now Chase Headley. A couple of times this year we've seen Mejia hesitate and not get to the bag, and something he's been told about, and give him credit. He recognized ground ball right side. I got to get over there, and he busted it as quickly as he could and got there just in time. Now fly ball center field. Granite drifting over. 4 out, number 2. Join Brian Dozier and the Twins at Target Field for Sportsman's Night, Saturday, August 5th, as we celebrate Pheasants Forever's 35th anniversary. Each ticket purchased through this special theme night ticket package will include an exclusive blaze orange camo reversible Twins beanie. Plus, a portion of each ticket will go to support Pheasants Forever. Learn more at twinsbaseball.com/sportsman's-night.
You know, Dick, on that play too, with Gregorius hustling down the line, also credit Joe Mauer on getting that ball to Mejia as quick as possible. You know, that's a tough play for a pitcher to go over there. And I think Joe saw that maybe he was a little late getting over there, so he gave it to him quickly so he could at least get in his glove, and then he slid into the bag.
Well, in the first half of this game, we've seen how that play should work and how it should not work. Right. Twins got their second run because the Yankee starting pitcher Brian Mitchell didn't catch the flip once he got to the bag. 1 strike to Cooper. Great opportunity for Cooper that he probably was not going to get in the Milwaukee organization. Not only being traded, but promoted to the Yankees in one transaction. Here's a ball driven to the gap in right center field. And it'll be an extra base hit for Cooper. And he has 2 hits. This one coming a double with 2 outs.
Yeah, Cooper in AAA was hitting .366 in 75 ball games, 17 home runs, had driven in 82 runs, and not able to be promoted by the Brewers. Right there, inside out swing. First extra base hit for the Yankees, their 3rd hit. Cooper gets his 2nd on his 2nd major league double.
And now Austin Romine, who hit into a double play his first time up.
Romine, good baseball name. His father was an outfielder for the Boston Red Sox for 7 seasons. Austin actually the younger brother of Tigers Andrew Romine.
Dad's name was Kevin, right?
Yep.
I remember him. It does tend to date you, doesn't it? I mean, you're older than I am, and you've been experiencing it longer than I have. But I remember Kevin Romine, and now I'm broadcasting games for his kids.
And then today I was down on the field, and Aaron Boone came over to say hello, and you know, my goodness, Bob Boone, and his Aaron's grandfather Ray Boone, 3 generations of major league players. Of course, the Twins had Rhett Boone here for a while. That didn't fare too well.
1 strike to Romine. Driven to right, Kepler retreating, and it's over his head. It'll drive in a run. Romine digging for 2nd. Here's Kepler's throw to the bag, and it is not in time. Pair of doubles with 2 outs, and the 8 and 9 batters get the doubles to make it a 2-1 ball game.
Yeah, Mejia left the ball up right there, and Romine, credit him, he took it the other way. And Kepler went back as quick as he could, but the ball hit very sharply. At 94 miles an hour, Romine puts a good swing on it. It's his 6th double of the year. That drives in Cooper. And Romine picking up his 19th run batted in.
And now Ellsbury called out on strikes in the 1st, hit by a pitch in the 4th. Driven to right. Kepler running over, making the catch in the corner to end the inning. Some well hit balls to end the 5th inning and a Yankee run, but the Twins still lead by 1.
fifth. It's now 2-1 in Minnesota. There are a lot of Aaron Judge fans, but these are Twins fans, just happen to have an Aaron Judge sign in the Minnesota Lottery winner's circle with $100 worth of scratch-off tickets for the Clapp family. This is Heather and her husband Brandon came with their 2 kids. And Heather, how did you get these tickets here tonight in the Legends Club?
My husband had not been to the dentist in 10 years, and he put my name down as a referral, and we just happened to win the referral prize, so we won the tickets.
10 years. And he's smiling. I mean, look at the camera right there with that smile.
No cavities in 10 years.
No cavities in 10 years. So that checkup actually was not too painful and paid off.
Not at all.
Brandon, I mean, let me just get that confirmation. Is this what you're recommending then? Every 10 years you see your dentist?
Absolutely. Twins tickets. That's the way to go. Every 10 years. Go sooner than that, though.
A lot of upset dentists out there, Marty. Thank you very much.
And the family drove up from Rochester just for this game, guys.
All right, very nice. Joe Mauer will lead off the bottom of the 5th. Twins up 2-1. Mauer lined out to center in the 1st, drew a walk to fill the bases in the 3rd. And outside 2-1.
Yeah, Mitchell's given up 6 hits in the first 4 innings. Twins have had opportunities to open up the ball game a little bit. Seems to have made some nice plays behind him. The base was loaded, nobody out. Judge made that great throw to get Dozier at second, and then the unearned run last inning. Runners at second and third with 1 out. Twins unable to score.
Thinking about that threat they had in the 4th inning. We just mentioned that with the infield in, they played Dozier more conventionally rather than shifting him, and that paid off because he hit a bullet. Speaking of bullets, a one-hop smash right behind the second base bag.
I think that's Headley, the third baseman.
The third baseman makes the play. 1 down. That'll bring up Sano. If you're planning a trip to Minneapolis-St. Paul, the Gateway offers an experience you can only get in Minnesota. The Twin Cities Gateway is conveniently located just minutes from all major attractions and with 10 golf courses. They're above par. Splash into Minnesota's largest water park, then unwind in one of the 23 hotels or a charming B&B. Find endless opportunities for the perfect getaway at exploreminnesota.com. Sano driving on to right center field, but it's hanging in the air for Judge. He makes the catch 2 away. Share your favorites with #OnlyAnMN.
2 quick outs here for Mitchell here in the 5th inning.
Now Kepler. Kepler, 2 ground balls, 1 to short, and the other one a ground ball to the second baseman Castro, and he was going to be retired for the 3rd out of the 3rd inning, but the pitcher Mitchell covering didn't field the flip. Twins took advantage of the error and scored their 2nd run, and that run right now the difference in the game. Up and away, ball 1. Now 2-0. Mitchell's done fine here. He had some bullpen activity in the 3rd when the Twins loaded the bases with nobody out. But he's thrown 87 pitches, 53 strikes. That's a strike percentage of 61. That's acceptable. And now a strike to Kepler, 2-1.
A lot of time in the minor leagues, 8 minor league seasons in the Yankees system.
See Smith warming up again here in the 5th inning, up high to Kepler. It's 3-1 with Vargas on deck. Drilled to center. Ellsbury back for the catch. And some well-hit balls in the inning, but a 1-2-3-5. You're watching Twins baseball presented by State Farm. And if it is possible to deliver bad and sad news with a smile on your face, I'm going to do that right now, because Bob Wolf had a tremendous career. He passed away at the age of 96. He was one of the original Twins broadcasters. He came here with the Senators at the behest of Calvin Griffith to be a broadcaster here. He only lasted here 1 year, as he told me years ago. He was more of an East Coast guy. And so he came here 1 year, then went back and did Senators games. Ground ball, and it's past Sano. And Frazier's aboard with a base hit. And it will be an extra base hit, as the Yankees now have started to hit the ball hard. Frazier tying run at second now with nobody out. Not ground ball, just out of the reach of Sano.
I had my honor of meeting Bob Wolf over the years, and he was a true gentleman and a great announcer. What, 8 decades?
Right. And he told me a story when I met him. I'm sure you were with me. We were at Yankee Stadium. They had an old timers game, and Bob Wolf was brought in to be the public address announcer. Here's Aaron Judge. Yankees now with 3 doubles and a line out in the last 4 at bats against Mejia. Swing and a miss. He brought with him to Minnesota, Bob Wolf did, the son of a sports writer for the Senators in the Washington D.C. area. The sports writer's name was Shirley Povich, and talk show host Maury Povich's first job was as a runner at Metropolitan Stadium's press box for Bob Wolf and others. 1 strike to Aaron Judge, and now a ball.
So far, a lot of breaking balls to Judge, and now his 3rd at bat against Mejia. Struck him out in the 1st inning. And got him to hit a ground ball to short in the 4th.
Neil Allen on the mound. 1-1 from Mejia. Now 2-1.
Change up missing down and away.
You got a base open here. You don't want to start filling the bases with a 1-run lead, but
this is a guy you don't want to make a mistake too. Judge, 25 years old. As we mentioned earlier, got a little bit of taste of Yankee baseball last year.
Half swing. Did he? Nope. 3-1.
And Scott Berry, the first base umpire, saying that Judge did not go. Another breaking ball inside.
Castro with some words for Mejia.
This is that, as I mentioned before in the pregame, Dick, about, and also our open, about you don't want to make a mistake here. If you walk him, you got to make a good pitch right here. You don't want to make a mistake.
3-1. The outside corner. You saw James Rowson, who prior to being hired by the Twins was a minor league hitting coordinator for the Yankees. He worked an awful lot with Aaron Judge, and some very complimentary things to say about him. But it's no surprise that the Twins are attacking him with breaking balls, because that was Rowson's scouting report on him, that at least up until this year he's had a tough time with breaking stuff. 3-2. Breaking ball tapped foul.
Yeah, 6 pitches in this at bat, 5 breaking balls and 1 changeup.
Rowson said that Judge is a once-in-a-lifetime player in terms of as a coach, in terms of his work ethic. He said nobody he's coached works as hard as Aaron Judge.
As a young man from Northern California, wanted to be a basketball player. His dad wanted to be a basketball player, but he fell in love with baseball.
3-2 to Aaron Judge. Wide of third.
Another breaking ball. But scholarships for football, basketball, and baseball. Almost shades of Dave Winfield, really, what Dave Winfield went through. A lot of people comparing his size to Dave Winfield, but To me, Dave Winfield was a guy that just, when he hit his home runs, they all seemed to left field, left center. Judge, this guy has power to all fields, as we showed you the graphic earlier.
He has struck out 116 times on the season. And Judge getting one breaking ball after another. Sano leading the league with 124 strikeouts. Here's the state of affairs in the American League. It's July 17th. And there are 7 players who've already struck out 100 times or more.
Strikeouts aren't a big deal anymore. They're not, like they once were.
Duffy and Bouchier's getting loose. And he has gotten this game into the 6th inning, but leadoff double in a long battle with Aaron Judge.
Castro again sitting inside.
To center. Granite back. And he's there for the catch. Tagging from third. Frazier advances, or from second to third.
They tried to go fastball in. They got it in, but Judge, so strong, fought it off and hit it to deep center field.
Judge is retired. He's 0 for 3. Matt Holliday, the batter.
Well, you can go 0 for 3, but this is a good at bat right here for Judge because he advanced the runner. All these pitches, all breaking balls, a 185 down and away, the only changeup, everything else a slider. And then they tried to high fastball. And Judge basically did his job. He advanced the runner.
And Mejia with 75 pitches thrown, 48 strikes, 5 1/3 innings, and he'll come out of the game with a 2-1 lead.
My favorite emoji is probably the thumbs up.
I like the monkey with who covers his mouth.
I give it a lot. Simple.
Laughing and crying face at the same time.
The power.
My favorite emoji is
the one is like
face. That's kind of my go-to.
Of course, we're talking about the favorite emojis because it's National Emoji Day, and we're all celebrating it throughout the night. These are the favorite emojis of your broadcaster tonight. Dick Bramer with the shocked X eyes because of the split double headers we've had this season, and so many for the Twins. Bert Blyleven with the clown face because, yes, and I'm the one eye wink kiss because that's the emoji I send to my kids all the time, and Josh Duhamel sends to me. I mean, it all fits.
Had to throw that in, didn't you?
Whenever possible.
Infield in here for Matt Holliday, and Duffy's breaking ball gets a swing and a miss.
Well, Duffy coming in to get one thing, and that's a strikeout right here of Holliday. 42 strikeouts in 43 and 2/3 innings. Good curveball, fastball.
One strike to Holliday. And now 2 strikes. similar spot, not identical, but similar. The Yankees brought the infield in and had the infielders placed perfectly because Dozier hit a line drive right to Starlin Castro, and instead of it being a 2-run single, it was a big second out of the inning. Duffy, who's got the big sweeping breaking ball, really tough on right-handers.
Well, he's got to make sure right here ahead in the count. You have to trust your catcher Castro that he'll block it, but you have to throw this breaking ball down if that's what they decide. Down and away. That ball had too much of the plate, and Holiday, who's a very good hitter over his career. What a batting title.
Let me guess where that was. Probably wasn't in St. Louis. It was in Colorado, wasn't it?
2007 with the Rockies when he hit 340.
2 strikes to Holiday.
Yep.
Great stop at short by Adrianza to save a run. What a play by the Twins shortstop.
And Adrianza on the throw kind of did a little skip hop. He got caught in the grass, but able to get it over to Joe Mauer. What a nice defensive play. A breaking ball, and you knew that Holiday was going to hit it sharply somewhere. Watch him make this play. Now he gets up. See, the runner has to hold, and then a little shovel throw over there.
That ball was by him. He reached behind him to make that snag. Big play by Adrianza to keep the Twins in front, and now Starlin Castro, and the infield retreats to normal depth. Twins have had a really good game in the field so far. That's why they're leading 2-1. There's a breaking ball, strike one. We've had a fine play turned in by Mauer at first. A couple of nice catches in right by Kepler. And that play keeping Frazier, for the time being at least, still at third base. Swing and a miss, and it's 0-2. Duffy brought in because he was a fresh arm. He has showed some signs of tiring on this muggy night after 75 pitches.
I think too, brought in against Holiday to get that strikeout, and credit, you know, the defense behind Duffy right there, but see if Duffy can get the final out here in the 6th inning.
Foul.
Duffy making his 34th relief appearance.
Frazier started the inning with a double. 2 outs later, he's still at third. Got him. Duffy gets the job done thanks to another fine play in the field by the Twins. to win another ball game. Got some relief help from Tyler Duffy, some fielding help from people all over the field. Chance for him to go 5-4 on the year. You know, we've said all along, and if they're going to be in the playoff hunt or in the playoffs, they've got to pitch better in the second half. But all year long in the first half, we've seen components of a good bullpen, and we've seen Duffy can be very effective at times. And Taylor Rogers is one of the best kept secrets in the American League, and Kinsler went to the All-Star game. Now it's a question of, with 9 more outs to get, who's going to get them? Caleb Smith will try to get some outs in his major league debut. He'll pitch to the Twins in the 6th.
Those are the numbers in AAA. Smith originally signed by the Yankees back in 2013 out of Sam Houston State University in Texas. 14th round pick. 25 years old.
Kenny Vargas, who's picked things up a little bit from the right side of the plate, will hit right-handed against Smith. 1 strike. Vargas, another lefty Rosario, and then switch hitter Adrianza will hit here in the 6th. Swing and a miss, and it's 0-2. Vargas hitting 100 points higher from the other side of the plate. He has picked up some hits, and again, when you're a switch hitter in this league this year, and you don't see many lefties, and then you see in one series Chris Sale and David Price, it can be a little tough to get that number up. 1-2. Now 2-2. Vargas walked and scored in the 2nd inning, and then was called out on strikes, leaving a couple of men aboard in the 3rd. Now back.
Well, Smith has a good fastball at 97. Selected by the Brewers in the Major League Rule 5 draft over the winter, and then traded to the Cubs on the same day. Went to spring training with the Cubs, and they ended up returning him to the Yankees in late spring.
The outside corner.
Change up right there. Freezes Vargas. And Vargas thought it was outside.
1 down in the 6th. Twins baseball is presented by State Farm. Here to help life go right with the auto and renter's protection you deserve.
Smith comes in, faces his first major league hitter, and strikes out Vargas.
Rosario with an RBI double in the 2nd, and then he hit a ground ball to Cooper in his 2nd at bat. Got a pitch up and in, and he tried to spin on it, hit it onto the plaza. 1 strike.
High breaking ball right there.
And that's been the case all year long. Rosario, among left-handed batters, has been by far the most productive left-handed hitter, and Rosario motions as if he would bunt in front of Chase Headley, but he took it for a ball. 1-1. And as we've said, the production, though, from Rosario against lefties hasn't been very high. The batting average has been fine, but he has had 79 at bats against left-handers and driven in just 3 runs, 2 of them the other day in Houston. The deflected double. 2-2. You were unable to watch or didn't see it on replay. A couple of guys on base in scoring position. Rosario hit a ball back to the pitcher, who deflected it just out of the reach of Altuve into short right field, and it drove in 2 runs. 2-2. Easy play for Cooper. 2 down. And we'll bring up Ray Adrianza. 3 outs over the single his last time up. He's made 2 really nice plays in the field. One hit here. Looks like he'll have a 300 batting average. Of course, he doesn't have many plate appearances, just 64 at bats. And he takes ball 1. "14 at bats from this side of the plate. 4 hits, a double, and 3 singles, but 6 runs batted in. Swing and a foul into the glove of Romine, 1-1. Off the end of the bat, 1-2. Have a night game tomorrow, a day game on Wednesday, off day on Thursday. The Twins have 3 games here with the Tigers. Haven't seen the Tigers for a while. They are leading the Royals now 7-0 in the 6th inning. Cleveland and San Francisco just underway. And San Francisco sharply hit. Nice pickup on the backhand side by Headley. And he throws him out. To the 7th. The Twins lead 2-1.
Yeah, Twins took a 1-0 lead in the 2nd inning thanks to Rosario's RBI double that scored Vargas. Twins added an unearned run on a play that Mitchell, he had to do it over again, would have got it in his glove. But Twins took a 2-0 lead. Yankees fighting back-to-back doubles off of Mejia in the 5th inning, made it a 2-1 ball game. And Mejia went into the 6th innings through 76 pitches, 49 strikes. Had 4 strikeouts, no walks. That was very impressive right there. But the 4 strikeouts came in the first 2 innings.
See some debris out there in center field. We've got some storms to the north of us, and all that's been happening here is just some wind squalls that have swept through the ballpark. So far, it's not raining. Didi Gregorius will lead off the 7th inning. First pitch, fastball for strike 1. See the potato chip wrappers and napkins blowing around the ballpark.
Like an old Dutch bag. It didn't mean me either.
You don't get any royalties for that?
What?
Every bag of old Dutch potato chips or snacks sold, you don't get a portion of that because you own the company, don't you?
Not yet, no. Working on it.
Okay. 2 strikes to Gregorius. And Duffy goes upstairs with a fastball to get a strikeout. 2-1 away here
Gregorius
in the 7th.
Strikes out for the second time. Duffy picking up his second strikeout.
Fox Tracks presented by Carrier going upstairs to get a swinging strike 3. And now Chase Headley. Headley with a pop-up caught by Mauer. Nice play in the 3rd inning. And then a fly ball to Granite in the 5th. Strike 1.
Headley, the only switch hitter for the Yankees right now. He's a left-handed hitter. His better side hitting .279.
Off the plate, 1-1. Next man in line is Taylor Rogers. Line foul.
Tony Pena gets the ball, flips it to a fan.
He was a catcher of yours, wasn't he?
Yes, he was with the Pittsburgh Pirates. Had a great career. Does he have a throwing arm? He still throws batting practice.
His son was converted to a pitcher, right? He was a shortstop in the Kansas City organization, and they converted him to pitcher, and I've kind of lost track as to where he is.
I talked to Tony before the ball game. He's got 2 boys that played minor league baseball. Both of them now are no longer playing. Both of them are in different systems working in the minor leagues.
2-2 to Headley. 3-2. Garrett Cooper on deck. Cooper's already got a couple of hits, both of those against the left-hander Mejia. Foul. You know, he's got a great catcher who's got a son converting to pitcher who's doing well in the Twins organization is Ivan Rodriguez. His son Derek promoted to Double-A. He's had a couple of good starts for Chattanooga. We were in Texas. Ivan said, yeah, he can throw 94, 95. Good breaking ball and changeup. Full count to Headley. To left center. And deep. Rosario, Granite, neither one will get there. And to the wall it goes for a double. Another Yankee double. Their last 4 hits have been doubles. And with 1 out, the tying run is in scoring.
Yeah, breaking ball stayed up right there. Headley getting his 20th double of the year. Saw kind of off of Castro's bat too. That ball just kept going. With a high breaking ball. Headley taking it the other way. Rosario races back. And 1 hops the wall.
Cooper against the lefty Mejia with a sharp single and a double to the gap in right center field. To left field and down for a hit. It'll tie the game. Cooper, who came into the game with just 1 hit, has 3 tonight. And an RBI single tying the game at 2.
And Cooper picking up his first major league run batted in.
Second straight double for Cooper. And now the Yankees have put together 5 straight doubles over the last 3 innings.
Another breaking ball that stayed up, and Cooper jumping on that first pitch. Came into the ball game just 1 for 10 in that Boston series. Breaking ball middle in. Cooper opened up quickly. Lined it into the corner.
Now the number 9 batter, Austin Romine. He doubled in a run his last time up. Fastball, strike 1. Look at our field, Mike. You can hear the wind whistling through this ballpark. Ball gets a swing and a miss, 0-2. So no win for Mejia. Gave the Twins 5 1/3 innings tonight. 9 runs given up by Duffy, who realized this will be the last batter he faces, with Ellsbury, a left-handed batter, due up next. Rogers is warmed and ready.
And that's what Eddie Gordado is going over with Rogers right now.
Strike 3. And a nice block by Castro, who tagged the batter. Romine going back to the dugout. Of course, we saw yesterday what happens when the batter runs to first on strike 3 when the ball's loose. Altuve scampered in from third and scored a run.
Again, when you have a good breaking ball, you have to trust your catcher that he'll block it. Romine went too far. I see the barrel of the bat way out front of home plate. Duffy picks up his 3rd strikeout, but he leaves the ball game for Aaron Rodgers.
Taylor Rogers. Aaron Rodgers, last time I looked, was a right-hander. We want a left-hander.
Yeah, let's go to Taylor Rogers then.
By getting both Holiday and Castro, but back-to-back doubles in the 7th have tied the game. There's Garrett Cooper. He's got a 3-hit night going here, and he just tied the game up with his 2nd double of the ball game.
Well, here's Taylor Rogers making his 41st relief appearance. He's done a great job out of that bullpen. .35 innings, 30 hits allowed. It's only 7 walks, 2 of those intentional.
Ellsbury struggled against lefties, hitting just .206 against them. This is a big out, big runner to leave at second base. Twins haven't trailed in this ball game. Breaking ball away. With his 0 for 2 performance against lefties, Ellsbury, his average against left-handers down to 200. He hit him in the 4th inning, but struck him out once and got him to line out to Kepler the other time. Again, the wind whipping around, and I think it might have kicked up some dust for Ellsbury. During the pitching change, members of the grounds crew went out to the field to clean it up, and now a bundle of napkins has just blown free from the left field grandstand. Two and 0. It's snowing napkins. They tried. 2-0 to Jacoby Ellsbury. Sharply hit, but right to Dozier. Rogers gets the Twins off the field with the Yankees tied up in the top of the 7th. baseball break brought to you by T-Mobile. Steven Strasburg with another outstanding game, 10th win of the year. And the Nationals beat up on the Reds 6-1. Chris Tillman with a good start. Boy, do the Orioles ever need that. As Baltimore beat Texas. Tough loss again for the Rangers. And Ian Kinsler, a couple of triples and a double, knocking out Jason Vargas in the 3rd inning. And Detroit threatening to send the Royals back below the 500 mark. Coming out party for Garrett Cooper. 3 hits, a couple of doubles, the game tying double. And now the Twins will go back to work in the bottom of the 7th.
And Caleb Smith out there for his 2nd inning worth of work, again making his major league debut here tonight.
Castro went the other way, got a double off the fence and left. Twins couldn't do anything with it. Adrianza was at 3rd, Castro at 2nd, but then the Yankees brought the infield in and got out of the inning. Castro takes a strike over the inside corner. Castro, Dozier, and Granite here in the 7th. 1-1. We've definitely had a weather change here. I mean, it's much cooler than it was about half hour, 45 minutes ago, but we've not had a drop of rain yet. Checked his swing, and it's 2-1. Chopper headed up the middle, backhanded by Castro, and he fires in time to get Castro.
And this copyrighted
Jason, 1 down.
This copyrighted telecast presented by authority of the Minnesota Twins and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form. Any accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Minnesota Twins, LLC.
You can see the wind billowing the players' uniforms. The wind is blowing in from left and out toward right. Dozier with 2 ground ball hits and a line out to Castro in the 4th inning when they brought the infield in. Swing and a miss, 0-2.
Smith has shown a pretty good fastball. He's clocked it at 97, but the last 2 pitches, changeups. Also mixing in a hard slider type breaking ball.
4 up, 4 down.
Yeah.
Now outside 1 and 2.
3 straight changeups to Dozier.
And he took called 3rd strike, a fastball over the inside corner. 2 down.
And Smith picks up his 2nd strikeout. They got Vargas looking last inning. Here, after 3 changeups, one fastball that was clanked by Romine. Called a strike.
Romine tried to frame it, catch it, move the glove up a little bit, but he didn't catch it. Here's Granite. Pitches up, ball 1. Granite 1 for 3. Hit the ball 3 times on the ground. Last time sharply, but Gregorius fielded the first hop and threw him out. 2-0. So just 2 hits, but 17 at bats without striking out. Chases. And it's 2-1. Side. I believe it's 3-1, and I believe the scoreboard has it right, but we're unsure as to whether it is 3-1 or 2-2. Tap foul, and now we know Brandon's got 2 strikes. It's just a question of how many balls. Usually when the umpires are aware that the scoreboard has it wrong, they're very animated, making sure everybody knows what the count is.
Yeah, Brian Nora, the home plate umpire, going out and talking to Smith.
Turning into a blustery night here. Nora went to the mound to give Romine a bit of a break. Taking a foul tip there. And ran it. Fouls off a fastball near the outside corner to stay alive. Another foul on another fastball. Brandon hoping to keep the inning alive to get Mauer to the plate. And on a pitch that was inside, Brandon strikes out for the first time. Another good inning for the Yankee bullpen.
In action at Target Field. I'm Anthony LaPanta inside Mall of America studio. Same 2 teams tomorrow night here on Fox Sports North as these 2 American League playoff contenders resume their series. Join us for Twins Live presented by CenturyLink starting at 6:30. That's tomorrow night on Fox Sports North.
So we go to the 8th inning, tied at 2. Taylor Rogers, we've got Jacoby Ellsbury. In the 7th inning, now will face Clint Frazier, Aaron Judge, and Matt Holliday. Frazier doubled leading off the 6th inning. Hit the first pitch past Sano. And now in this at bat, Sano is about 3 feet off the third base line.
Yeah, 7 hits for the Yankees, 5 doubles.
Twins with just 6 hits, and they haven't done much lately. Driven between the shortstop and the third baseman. Rosario backhands it, falls down or drops the ball. Now the throw to second is offline. So another double, although Rosario did juggle the ball in the corner. And Frazier's at second, leading off the 8th inning as he was the 6th. So some new Yankees, Frazier and Cooper, are getting some big hits here tonight.
And they give Frazier a double, his 2nd straight double. That ball was hit very sharply. And credit Frazier, he did not stop running right here and hustled and slid into second base safely.
When Frazier doubled leading off the 6th, Judge advanced him to third with a deep fly ball to center. And I think the Twins are going to send Judge to first base on an intentional walk here in the 8th inning. So first and second, nobody out. The Yankee fans here are upset because they want to see Judge swing away. While Molitor would rather see Holiday hit into a double play. Holiday has struck out, singled, and hit a ground ball to short. His ground ball to short looked like it was going to tie the game. That's where Adrianza made his great lunging stop with the infield in. Fastball, outside ball 1.
See where Holiday ranks as far as runs batted in of active players.
Breaking ball misses, and it's 2-0. Story of the game so far for the Twins bullpen. Stranding inherited runners, but then running into trouble in the next full inning. It happened to Duffy in the 7th, and now something similar might be happening to Rogers. 3-0. Starlin Castro on deck.
And a guy like Holiday that's a very good hitter probably might have the green light here.
It's a strike. What if he hit a sharp ground ball to Miguel Sano? Instead, it's to the shortstop. Not a triple play, but a double play, and Dozier's tentative throw had to be dug out by Mauer.
Nice pick right there by Joe Mauer.
Runner at third, 2 down. And Brian Dozier talking with Quinn Wolcott maybe about the slide of Aaron Judge. See what Judge does here.
Looked like he just slid straight into the bag. And Joe on the other side right there. Nice pick to complete the double play.
2 down, runner at third, and now Starlin Castro. He's lined out twice and struck out. And now we'll see if the Twins pitch to him or decide to pitch instead to Gregorius. Second intentional walk of the inning with Castro going, and now Gregorius, a left-handed batter, who has struck out twice tonight. Intentional walks, not a forgotten thing, but here we have 2 of them in 1 inning.
That kind of a rarity, but I kind of like, I didn't like the rule at the beginning. I kind of like it now.
Sure. First and third, 2 down. Slow breaking ball, and Gregorius hit her right off the end of the bat. Let's take a look at this. Dozier clearing the bag. Yeah, that's Dozier can understand why.
But I think Brian's got to get out of the way a little bit.
Well,
right there. Judge went straight into the bag. Brian had plenty of time to make a throw and get out of the way.
There's a bunt. Castro fields it 18 inches in front of home plate to end the inning. Gregorius tried to surprise everybody, but a poor bunt ends the threat in the 8th.
Of the 8th inning as the Twins come to bat here, and coming up in our post-game show, Twins Live, presented by CenturyLink, we'll look at a good start from Adalberto Mejia, who gave the Twins a strong 5 1/3 innings here tonight. Also some very good defense, a really nice play by A-Ray Adrianza at short. Max Kepler made a nice diving catch in right field. The defense has been solid here, and we'll hear from the manager, Paul Molitor. Dick and Bert, it'll be right after we bring you this Twins win tonight over the Yankees.
Well, that's the hope for almost all of our viewing audience, I suspect. And this is an important game. Now, it's just the 92nd game of the year for the Twins. But the Yankees could potentially be a wild card competitor for the Twins. So this is almost like a divisional game. You know, almost like it's a game against the Indians because of where the Twins' hopes for playoffs might rest. Taken low by Mauer, ball 1.
And of course, you mentioned earlier, Dick, the Yankees have always kind of had the Twins number, especially here at Target Field, where the Yankees are 19-6 since Target Field opened up over the last 7 seasons.
And a strike, 1-1 to Mauer.
Yeah, Smith out there for his 3rd inning. He's having quite a year down in the minor leagues this year. He was 8-0 in AAA with an ERA at 2.07. 15 starts.
Mauer takes ball 2.
So he's a guy that can go, 3, 4, 5 innings if need be. This is his 3rd inning in relief. He's retired all 6 batters.
Strike 2 to Mauer.
He has 3 strikeouts.
Mauer, Sano, and Kepler. Twins haven't trailed in this game. Scored the first 2 runs, the Yankees the next 2. Three and 2. To right, and the ball off the glove of Judge. Mauer will hold up, having seen Judge's throw to the plate a few innings before. Judge nearly made a great play. Instead, it's a leadoff single.
Well, we saw Max Kepler come in, charge a ball, and made a nice catch earlier. Judge tried the same thing. And Joe hitting this 3-2 pitch, a breaking ball. Judge comes in. Ball just hit in front of his glove, deflected over to his left side. And Joe scoots back to first base, so Mauer picks up a base hit, his first.
Bet you Joe goes for second if Judge hadn't shown off his arm. That great throw to the plate a few innings before. Now here's Sano. Fouled back. Sano has hit 3 outfield flies, and as big and as strong as he is, I think every time he hits an outfield fly, it's fair to say that he just missed hitting a home run. Just talking about it, a half-inch up the bat barrel. Or
I thought he had his chance in the first inning off of Mitchell. He left him a high breaking ball that he flew out to left field.
Inside, target was inside, 1-1.
Well, that's the old pitch. Make the hitter move their feet. Fastball down and in. Now, we've seen a very good changeup from Smith.
Snow hitting over 300 against left-handers. Toward the hole, it'll bleed through. Another ball hit right off the end of the bat. Well, Smith, who pitched very well through the first 2 innings, didn't allow a base runner. Mauer hit his off the end of the bat. Sano hit one off the end of the bat. The bullpen for the Yankees, part of their difficulty, and it's been a series of failures. Tyler Clippard, Aroldis Chapman's had problems. Dellin Betances has had a terrible time throwing strikes.
Yeah, they have 18 saves out of that bullpen and 36 save opportunities. So yeah, the games have been lost by that bullpen.
Well, Here's Kepler in what might be a bunting situation. Strikeout prone Vargas is on deck. Kepler is 0 for 3. Hit the ball hard his last time up to Ellsbury in center. Kepler hitting just 143 against lefties, which might impact the decision here as to what to try to do with them. Corner infielders are pitching already. Takes ball 1.
Well, Kepler on the year does not have a sacrifice yet. You see Paul Molitor going through the signs over to Gene Glenn. I will relay them to Kepler and the base runners.
Now Headley giving signs to the Yankee infielders and the pitcher. Kepler swinging away, fouls it back with lightning flashing overhead. Every weekday morning, Skip Bayless and Shannon Sharp go head-to-head on the day's hottest sports topics. Undisputed with Skip and Shannon. Weekdays from 8:30 to 11 Central only on FS1. Squaring to bunt, taking a ball and swinging away, fouling it off. 1-1.
Defense still looking for the bunt.
Did he offer at it? No, says third base umpire Ramon DeJesus. From up here, it looked like Kepler motioned at it, didn't it?
Looked like he jabbed at it.
Yes.
Take a look right here.
Yes, that's, to me, that's offering at it. Girardi not happy with the ball call. It's 2-1. And taking a strike, and it's 2-2.
Well, Kepler trying to do something he has not been accustomed to, asked to do, and that's the bunt. I'm sure he's swinging away here.
Squaring, taking ball 3. This has been a curious plate appearance, hasn't it? He squared on the first pitch, swung away on the second pitch. Took ball 2, although it looked like he offered at it. Then he took one down the middle for strike 2. And now it's a full count with Vargas on deck.
Yeah, breaking ball down and away for ball 3. And a little spin around right there. See if Kepler maybe squares around, but that time he did not.
Strikeout for the first out of the inning.
And Smith picking up his 4th strikeout.
He threw a fastball right down the middle. And Kepler missed it, 1 away. And that was center cut. And now Vargas will be pinch hit for by Eduardo Escobar, who will take over the DH duties.
Escobar 1 for 7 as a pinch hitter. Their one hit coming as a right-handed hitter.
Where he is hitting .312, 246 from the left side. But a really good average and most of his power from this side of the plate. Seen Escobar in this situation loving to take a big hack at the first pitch. And a miss. Moving off speed pitch. 0-1. Base hit, left field. Mauer to third. He's being sent home. Frazier's throw to the plate way offline. And Escobar delivers off the bench. We'll see if Sano is hurt. He went in head first at third base, and he's slow to get up.
I tell you what, Sano went in hard, but Joe Mauer scoring the go-ahead run right now. Escobar right off the end of the bat, hits it softly into left field. Frazier out in left field, charges the ball, and comes up throwing. And that allows Sano, you can see him taking off. Mauer slides across home plate. And boy, did Sano slide hard into third.
Look at this. He's trying to twist his shoulder or shoulders around. Somehow is able to stay engaged with the base. And Larry Rothschild to the mound. The hitter is Rosario. And the Twins get a big pinch hit from Escobar here in the 8th to retake the lead. Getting loose. He may have gotten the 9th inning anyway in a tie game, because beyond the 9th there wouldn't be a save opportunity. He's warmed up, ready to go.
That was a big pinch hit performance right there by Escobar. And Rothschild heading back to the dugout.
One out, first and third. And Rosario, who got an RBI double in the second, and since has hit a couple of ground balls to the first baseman. Yankees bring the infield in here. Not willing to risk getting a double play on another ground ball. Strike on the outside corner. Two hits. Mauer and Sano are each hits right off the end of the bat. Escobar got the barrel of the bat on his hit, dumping it into left field. Rosario trying to give the Twins some breathing room, and the rain has started to fall here at Target Field.
And to 27,000 plus. A lot of them looking for shelter.
Tarp has remained covered throughout. I think the hope is this is just a little sliver of a larger system that will pass over the ballpark.
Fastball to Rosario for strike one, then a couple sliders, one missed, and that slider swung through by Rosario. Smith ahead in the count.
Rosario looking for a deep fly ball. Into right field, a base hit. Sano will score. Escobar to third, Rosario to second. Fourth hit of the inning, and the Twins lead it 4-2.
Well, Smith left the breaking ball up. He was ahead in the count, and Rosario jumped all over it, hit it sharply past the diving Cooper. And Rosario picks up another RBI, his second of the ball game on his second double. See, the breaking ball stayed up, and Cooper, ball got underneath his glove. By the time that Judge could catch up to it, Sano scores. Escobar to third.
What we're seeing here, even before this bottom of the 8th inning, is I think the residue of all the Yankee activity. The 16-inning game on Saturday, the split doubleheader yesterday. There just aren't many options for the Yankees because of the bullpen overuse over the weekend. Smith is left out there. And we'll see what Castro could do with Adrianza intentionally walked to load the bases. Smith, who was so good and so sharp in the 6th and 7th, running into some difficulty here in the 8th. Remembering this is the man's major league debut. 1 strike. One and one. It is still raining, but not as hard as it was a couple of minutes ago. Field corner, and it'll spin back into the seats.
Yeah, Castro wanted that pitch back right there. Fouled it off. One thing we have seen from Castro, very acceptable to striking out on that hard breaking ball down. Needs to make good contact here.
Only 1 out in the inning. Dozier on deck. There it is. Castro strikes out, 2 down. Bases loaded situation now left for Dozier.
Smith picking up another strikeout, his 5th of the ball game in his 3rd inning of relief.
Dozier with 2 ground ball singles, a line out, and then he was called out on strikes in the 7th. Facing Smith.
Yeah, remember 3 straight changeups, and then he snuck that fastball inner part of the plate.
It was down and in. It's not where Brian really liked it, but he wasn't looking fastball at all. Brian, of course, likes the fastball up. It's blocked by Roman.
A change up right there, same way they started Dozier in his last at bat.
There's no activity in the Yankee pen in the inning, and granted the hits haven't been blistering line drives, but there have been 4 hits and an intentional walk in this inning, and the Yankees can't make a move. Tapper, left side, and dug out at first by Cooper. The Twins leave the bases full, but score 2 as we go to the 9th. You're watching Twins baseball presented by State Farm. haven't trailed in the game. They got the first 2 and now the last 2 runs, they hope. As we go to the 9th inning, Brandon Kintzler will try to pick up the save. The rain is still coming here at Target Field, and Kintzler will face the bottom third of the Yankee lineup.
Yeah, Kintzler 25 saves and 28 save opportunities, making his 41st relief appearance. He picked up a save a couple days ago against the Astros.
Greg Holland of the Rockies leads the major leagues with 28 saves. Then it's Alex Colomé of the Rays with 26. And if Kintzler can get the 3 outs here tonight, he'll tie Colomé for the American League lead in saves. Chase Headley doubled his last time up. Then it'll be Garrett Cooper and Austin Romine. Now the rain picking up in intensity between innings, between half innings. Larry DeVito, the groundskeeper, had an extended chat with Brian O'Nora, the crew chief and home plate umpire. Up high, ball 1. Outside corner, 1-1. It is coming down and coming down in sheets. Fly ball left field. Rosario starts in. When playing some tricks with it, he makes the catch, 1 away. Another night game tomorrow. Luis Cessa going for the Yankees, and Bartolo Colon will be making his Twins debut. Showed up early at the ballpark here today. Wanted to get a workout, just some flat ground tossing. Wanted to talk with Paul Molitor. Paul asked him, "Do you remember facing me?" And Colon said, "Yeah, I broke 3 of your bats."
Well, hopefully he'll be breaking some bats tomorrow night.
Paul said that's not how he remembers it, but strike 1 to Cooper, who already has 3 hits here. Came into the game with just 1 hit in 10 at bats. Trying to get the game in. Completed game in before an interruption. 2 strikes. And Kintzler doing his part. I don't know if you've ever been in this situation in the 9th inning. I mean, it's going to rain for a while, and Kintzler's got to do his part and throw strikes, right?
Throw strikes, absolutely right. Kintzler keeps that ball in the glove, so the ball will be dry. Tough to hit in a situation like this.
And on 3 pitches, Cooper's put away, 2 down.
Good fastball, middle in. It's exactly where Castro wanted that fastball, with some movement. And a pinch hitter. Brett Gardner will be pinch hitting for Romine.
Man, is it coming down. Outside, ball 1.
Hanson-O playing in on the grass. You want to take the bunt away from Gardner. Good speed. He's trying to get on to keep the inning alive.
And now a strike. Trying to keep the game alive for Ellsbury in the on-deck circuit. just outside 2-1. How about the fans? So many of them are standing outside getting drenched. A testament, I guess, to how infrequent these opportunities have been against the Yankees. Chop to third. Sano waits for the second hop. Game over. And the Twins win the opener 4-2. We'll have a post-game show for you from Soggy Target Field with the Twins beating the Yankees 4-2.